our president and the next leader of the free world, Donald J. Trump.
Israel is under attack. Israel, that was a big weapon that came in yesterday and killed 13 beautiful children. And I've never seen so graphically displayed death on a battlefield. They showed these young children, I don't want to say it because there are some young children that are here right now, but in a position that I've never seen anything like it. And this is mainstream. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have done it. Maybe it's good that they do it because it's going to wake people up and you can do something about what's happening. But we had no problem at all with terror because Iran was broke. Iran was broke when I was president. You couldn't buy oil there, and if you did, buy oil or if you bought anything else and helped them, then you were under sanction like nobody's ever seen before. But if you did buy, you couldn't do any business in the United States. There were reasons. And a friend of mine said, that was terrible. You knocked him out of the race. What the hell did you do? That was the worst debate performance I've ever seen. And he said, no, we don't know any better. We have to go for it, right? We have to go for it. And that was the beginning of the end, and then we have a new one. But this is like a prize fighter. He goes in and he's losing horribly. And they say, well, we're going to take him out of the fight. We're going to put somebody else in. That's what they did. And it's very undemocratic what they did, because in all fairness to Biden, he had 14 million votes, right, Elise? Look at Elise, you're so great. What she did was that poor woman with the big glasses from Harvard. She never heard anybody come at her like that, and she did it with a smile. It was true. That was surgical, but she's great. What a future, what a future. Is Jeff Van Drew here? Jeff! Thank you, man. He's in charge of our New Jersey effort along with a lot of other of our friends. She should be easy. She should be easy. In many ways, she should be easier than him. But we'll see what happens. She was a failed candidate. She ran against him and others. She failed, and she failed miserably. A terrible candidate. Hopefully, that's the way it's going to be. I mean, there's a reason she was bad the first time. Why would she be better now? I will say she's got the shield of the press, because she was absolutely thought of as being one of the dumbest, one of the worst people, and by far the worst vice president in history. 4 weeks ago, the press talked about her as though the dumbest person we've ever had as a vice president. She had the worst poll numbers any vice president's ever had, worst in the history of our country. And now they're making her out to be Margaret Thatcher. She's just like, right, Elise? She's like Margaret Thatcher. Better watch out, she's going to replace you. They're going to say she's much smarter than Elise. Let me give you the bad news. She hates Israel. She hates Israel. How about Schumer? He's become... Now, I've known him. You know, I gave him... I got to tell you. I gave him his first political contribution many years ago in my Brooklyn office. He was from Brooklyn. And he was running for, I guess, the Assembly. What was it? The Assembly, I think, right? And I was the first person... He used to brag about it. Now, so that's what I'm talking about. I was the first who came to my office. I gave him a $500 contribution check, which a long time ago, that was 500. That was a big contribution at the time. That was like a lot of money. But I was the first person that gave. He's become a Palestinian. What happened to this guy? Shot right over my head. You know, I went down and bullets were going over my head. And by the way, the Secret Service gets a lot of blame for things, but they were very courageous because there were bullets going right over me, and I don't know how they weren't hit. Because we had at least 7 very large people, I can tell you, just take a look at the bruises, jumping on top of me. They were jumping on top of me, and bullets were flying. And I want to tell you, they were very brave. You could say they should have had somebody on that building. We agree. But they were brave as hell because they had bullets coming in and they were charging and they were on top of me. And our sniper, from much further away, because he was 130 yards, our sniper was over here and I'm in the middle. This is going over my head. Can you believe this? But it's going up. Our sniper, one bullet. Right? Jeff, you saw that? That guy was standing up. He wanted to find the person. He wanted to kill him. But not one person ran. And I can tell you, that was just a small group. That was a group that's probably had 200 people or something. But the main crowd, as far as the eye could see, was in front. It was a tremendous Butler, Pennsylvania. And by the way, we're going back to Butler, Pennsylvania. No, we're going back. Well, no, we're going back. But the thing, and I don't have to talk about it, and when I talked about it, I said that I will never discuss it's just too unpleasant to discuss. It was a terrible thing. But I will say this, the people didn't run. They were courageous. They stood there. They didn't move. They stood. The women, the men, a couple of people went down a little bit lower than they would normally be. But within seconds they were up, and many of them were just standing up. It's got like a board of executives of the biggest companies in Japan. And one man I'll never forget, I met him. What's your name? Toyota. I said, are you related to the car people? Yes, I own company. I said, you are a rich guy. But Bill was able to speak fluent Japanese in like a period of 4 or 5 months, and that was all I needed. I felt he was good. He said, you know, he was there for 3 years. He said, and he said something else that amazed me. I said, how's the education here for your children? Beautiful children. He said, great. And how's the transportation? Oh, great. What do you do? I call a taxi. I said, what do you mean you call? You call a cab, we call a taxi, there's taxi service. I said, you don't mean a taxi like a New York taxi. Same thing exactly. We call a taxi, we put the children in the taxi, they take them to school. And then in the evening we call the taxi, they put them in the... I said, you gotta be kidding.